Yo, 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 what's going on, everybody? My name is Rob Carmona, and welcome back to another episode of Rob the Mic. So I wanted to thank you first and foremost for the support and love on last week's episode. It seems like a few of those topics seem to hit home, and even the ones from the previous week since they carried on to last week's episode. So I want to try and touch on those episodes and those topics really, really quick, especially with last week's, because it seems that the whole subject of people making time for the things and the people that they want to make time for and not expecting yourself of someone else, it seemed to really kind of pull some strings at some people. So again, I think it's really difficult to have to go through this process and have to sit there and think about it and wonder why certain people aren't choosing us or why certain people aren't choosing the things that we want them to choose. And it kind of goes in tie with that second part, right? Where we can't expect ourselves of somebody else. We can't. Even though we might know what we want, even though we might know where we are, even though we might know where we stand, that other person might not be there. And they also might not ever get there. Which, I guess, depending on how you look at it or from what perspective, like that can be an issue in itself, right? But that's not a you problem. That's a them problem. So they are the ones that are going to have to deal with that. Whatever decisions they end up making, whatever they end up doing, whatever they choose time or whatever they choose to put time into, that's completely a them problem, not a you problem. And it's really tough to have to sit there with that. And a couple conversations were started because of this. And I really love where those conversations went because, again, a lot of the stuff that I'm bringing up to you guys, like, it's not rocket science. It's things that we've all heard. It's things that we all talk about. But I guess maybe because of the way that I'm talking about it and the way that it affects my life, people can feel that they can relate, or they're like, oh shit, like I understand. I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. So I feel like maybe these kinds of things tend to hit home a little bit harder. Let me know if there's something that you guys want me to talk about, or if you guys have heard of concepts or any sort of like sayings or anything like that. Like if you want my feedback on them, let me know so I can incorporate them into the episodes. Because honestly, I'm constantly looking and thinking and trying to figure out what to talk about every week. Because it's not that I want to talk about what's going on in my life or what's happening week to week, because granted, I feel like there's always something going on, but I feel like that's what the majority of us, we all have something going on. So if there's a specific thing that you're dealing with or that you just want me to cover, or you feel like, hey, I want your advice or I want whatever, just coming from your perspective, I'd be more than happy to give it, you guys. More than happy. And especially with like the second part, like that was something I heard from a friend of mine a long time ago, that you can't expect yourself from somebody else. Because I was going through something at that time. And I remember as soon as he told me that, I never forgot it. It was like immediately, like it was branded into my brain. And not that it brings me peace, but when I'm in a situation, like I'm currently in a situation right now, in a few actually, but I always have to remember that with friends, family, romantic partners, whoever, like I have to constantly remember that and remind myself, hey, you can't expect yourself of somebody else. Just because you would do it, just because you feel this way, doesn't mean that this other person feels the same or would react the same or would do the same. And to me, it encompasses the title of the episode, right? Where it's like, it's a hard pill to swallow because we're not ready to do that. A lot of us get faced with situations where you're blindsided. And when you're blindsided and you have to swallow something like that, it's like you're being backed into a corner. You're like, I don't have a choice. I got to eat this. I got to swallow it. I got to figure it out because it's the only thing that's going to get me out of here. But it's not something desirable, right? Like we don't like it. We don't love it. We're not here for it. And I know a lot of you listening right now, you're probably sitting there nodding your heads like, yep. He right. Because it's the truth. And granted, we get tossed things like this throughout our lives. But there's certain situations that will kind of sting a little bit harder. But it's tough. I don't like it. I hate that some of you have to go through this, that maybe some of you are experiencing it right now too. And all I can tell you is that you're not alone, because I'm doing the same thing. Like I'm still having to swallow the pill. I'm still having to work on the process. Again, from various subjects. Some of it's with my career stuff that I'm having to swallow a pill and understand, well, okay, I'm going to have to take this next step. And it's not something I wanted to do. It's not something I want to do, but I have to think about it from a bigger perspective. I have to step out of what I'm normally used to seeing, which is really tough because we're not used to doing that as people. We see things a certain way and we kind of set our blinders on and we move forward. But there honestly comes a time that I believe you really do have to remove the blinders and see what's going on around you. And then there's also a time where you got to put your blinders on and focus. And I think I've been so focused with my blinders on that I'm not really, especially career-wise, that I'm not looking at everything else that's going on or opportunities that are possibly passing me by because of a certain mindset that I have. And I got to shift it. I got to change it. I have to buckle down. I have to look at things from a completely different angle. And I don't like it. I'm not used to it. But that's a part of change, right? We have to start accepting things that are different, and we kind of have to move with the way that the water's going, which we've talked about this before, right? Going with the current. And I feel like right now, my current in multiple ways is changing with all kinds of stuff, not just my career, but it's changing with my family. It's changing with my friends. It's changing in my romantic life, in my personal life, in my mental health. Like I feel a really big shift. I don't know how else to explain it. Like I feel really uncomfortable. I feel really uneasy. I feel stressed about multiple things, but still the fact that I feel all of this right now is kind of leading me down like a certain mindset that like, okay, I think you're gearing up for a change. I think things are going to shift and it might be tough. And it's not even might, but it is tough right now. I can tell you, at least from my personal standpoint, it is very, very difficult. I don't like it. It leaves me most days feeling kind of messed up. Like yesterday, I had to get out of the house for a little bit and it was a little hectic to begin with, but then I got out, went to go kick it with my buddy Rob, and we just chilled out. We talked as we always do. We tend to talk about life, talk about all the things, and it helps. It helps to kind of get it out, to voice certain things. And even throughout the week, like I was talking to Jay, I was talking to another one of my homies, Lisette, I was talking to another homie, Jose, and just kind of getting different perspectives and talking to people about my current issues. It's helping me to kind of process it, to kind of chop it down so it makes it a little bit easier to swallow. Because it was kind of like, before I felt like I was having to swallow like horse pills, if that makes sense. And for those of you guys who don't know what horse pills are, they're like really giant pills. They're kind of like I know for a lot of women out there who take like prenatal vitamins and stuff like that, they're huge, like they're massive. So basically that's what I feel like I've been having to swallow, is pills that are that big. But the more that I realize it, I have to look to the people around me because they care. And I have to let those people care for me. I have to ask for help. I have to let them do their job. Because I feel like sometimes my pride gets in the way. And as much as I love everyone around me, I don't ask for help. I simply look to my therapist for that, which is fine, right? Like that's why I'm in therapy, because this person, Paul, can help me through what it is I need to get through. And he's even said it himself. There's only so much that I can do, dude, because I know you with what you've told me, but the people around you who love you and care for you, they really know you. They know who you are. They know what makes you tick. They know what makes your heart beat, and they know how to talk to you. And it's not about being soft, because I mean, especially when I'm talking with Jay, like I love Jay to death, and he gives it to me straight every time. Like even if it's something I don't want to hear, like he knows how to, he has a really good balance with me, and he knows how to talk to me where he can give it to me as harsh as possible. Like, yo, this is the reality of the situation. But then he also knows how to soften the blow and how to cushion things a certain way. So when I fall over because it hurts, he's like, don't trip. Like, I got you. Don't stress. You're good. I promise. So again, he's able to share and give me this information and his perspective and how he feels from an honest point of view. One, from the outside. Two, from someone who loves me. Right? So all of these people who are in my life are helping me to swallow these pills. And even this past weekend, right? Like this episode today, I got things like 1 week ahead, I guess you could say, or 1 week behind, 1 week ahead. I don't know. I had said this week was going to be a special episode, but it's actually next week, because next week is my 2-year anniversary. So really excited about that. And I do have a special episode, but there's a little glitch. So I actually have to re-record it. But it's going to be with someone that you guys know. I was about to say the name, but I want to leave it as a surprise. And I was trying my best to go through this episode to just make it happen. We recorded it, and in all honesty, it put me in a really weird headspace. I feel like I got a little too real, and it's not that I don't mind sharing stuff or that I don't like sharing stuff with you guys, because clearly I love having that veil, I guess, like be dropped to a certain degree, because I feel like I'm pretty transparent with you guys as far as how I'm feeling, what's going on, things that are affecting my life. But there's also certain things that I need to keep to myself out of respect for myself, out of respect for my mental health, my emotional health, everything like that. And I feel like I let the veil drop a little too much, and I was a little too candid, and I'm just not ready. And I was beating myself up about it because I was like, you know what? It's fine. Just put it out there. But if I'm not ready and I put this information out there, it's not that it's a bad thing, because the information's all true. It's not like I'm over here, talking shit or doing something like that. It's just I was a little too candid about situations, especially regarding my romantic life. And I'm not really ready to be that open about that. Maybe at some point in the future, I can reflect and talk about it a certain way. But right now, it really took me on a nosedive. So who I was recording with even brought it up, because they're like, dude, I feel so drained at the end. And I was like, dude, I feel super drained. And then he was like, I noticed that partway through the conversation, there's a certain question where you kind of take over, but it literally just goes off of a cliff. And I'm like, you know what? I don't want to do this. I don't want to put this information out there. But after that podcast that I was recording, or that I did record, I had this conversation with some friends that were here, and we went through it for a couple hours. And even that night, like, as hard as it was, having that conversation, it was able to kind of take everything out of me. And even though I felt drained, it just took everything out. I hopped in the shower and I went to bed. I was able to swallow the pill, right? It helped me process it. And I was able to exert everything I had into that. And it's important to do that and have people, and again, rely on those people. Because sometimes, even though I talk about them very often, I still forget. And it's not that I'll let my pride take me out, but I put more of a focus on my therapist rather than the people around me. And my therapist will remind me, like, hey, why don't you talk to these people? Why don't you talk to Jay? Why don't you talk to Albert? Why don't you talk to Yessie, Rob? Like, talk to somebody. Because these are the people that are also going to help you. Like, I can help you every step of the way, but they're going to help you even more than I can. So that's where I've kind of been, is just having to still swallow the pill and still work and be patient with myself, because I want it to be over. I want to get through this pain. I want to get through this process that I'm in and just kind of get to the next step. And I know even as you're listening, you're probably like, yeah, dude, but you can't. And that's the thing. I can't. It doesn't matter what I do. It doesn't matter what I try to do. It's not speeding my process. What I need to do is sit in my emotions, accept them for what they are, accept how I feel, and kind of walk through it and just kind of get into it, right? So the more that I let myself sit in it and the more that I can be with that, it really helps me out. It really does. So I'm just trying to, again, be patient with myself. Be patient, be understanding, be loving in every way, shape, and form, because I don't have another choice right now. I really don't feel that I have another choice. But something that I heard and read recently from two different places that I thought was really interesting and I wanted to talk to you guys about was how the older you get, you tend to choose calm over chaos and distance over disrespect. But what's really important, I think there's a massive but there, is to talk about the inner chaos that causes, because you're not used to it, and like how hard it is to actually choose the calm and the distance over the disrespect. And right now, that's something I'm having to sit with. That is something I'm having to sit with, is as I'm getting older, I notice that I'm starting to choose more calm over chaos. Like, not necessarily like how I party and stuff like that. I'm not talking about it in that way, which I guess in some ways it can also be perceived as that too. Because I do enjoy like, dinner parties or just going out to dinner with my homies and just being in like a really chill environment with chill music and just kicking back. And I love that. And I seem to gravitate more towards that as I'm getting older. Like I want to be somewhere that I can have conversation. And I want to be with people that I can have conversation with. I don't want to be in chaos. I don't want to be in crazy. And sometimes you need it. And don't get me wrong, I definitely put myself in those situations. Sometimes I for sure choose the chaos over the calm. But the inner conflict is very, very different for me right now, especially the distance over the disrespect, because I'm not used to that. I'm not used to having to distance myself because I'm being disrespected. And it's, that goes into a whole deep issue that I'm currently working through in therapy, but it's almost like I'm used to the disrespect. I'm used to it. Like I can deal with it. It's familiar. I know what it is and I know what to do with it. I know exactly what to do with it. And it's funny because I also heard a quote. Well, it's actually not funny. It's pretty fucking serious. But I heard a quote recently about love and how people who are abused and who have gone through these really traumatic experiences will choose and gravitate towards a partner who will continue that cycle for them, who will continue that toxicity, who is also abusive, whether it's, mentally, physically, emotionally, anything. They will choose that because the person knows how to deal with that kind of abuse. And they would rather have that than a healthy love, because if a healthy love shows up, they sit there like, what is this? Like, why do you love me? Why do you care? And it's unfamiliar. So it's uncharted territories. And I feel like even as I'm talking to you guys about it, it's just kind of like it's firing off all cylinders right now because that's where I'm at. I would rather take the disrespect than distance myself from that disrespect. But right now, on this day, in this current time, I am forcefully having to choose distance over the disrespect because I have to realize what my self-worth is. I have to realize what the level of love that I deserve is, which is very high because I love with everything that I have and I'm not ashamed of it. And we've talked about that before, right? Where you can't be ashamed of the love that you have to give because it comes from a different place. And all the love I have to give comes from a place of being hurt all the time since I was a kid and just kind of the things I had to endure, the things I had to see and things I would withstand throughout my life. And I think that's why I always have so much left to give. And I always want to make people feel loved and cared for. Even if I just met you, like I want you to feel important because that's a big takeaway for me. I want the people around me to feel loved and supported. So when it comes to, especially on the romantic side, which I'm sure a lot of you are probably like, oh, this is what he's pointing to. But especially on the romantic side, like I'm used to that. And I have to learn that, hey, this isn't okay. This type of treatment is not okay. Being talked to a certain way, being treated a certain way, being dismissed, being ghosted. That's a massive one. And that situation, that's kind of where I'm like alluding to, right? Because it forces you. That distance is forced upon you. But I think if you sit there and kind of just look at it like as a whole, you can kind of say, you know what? Maybe the distance isn't such a bad thing because there's a lesson in there. And it's you get in your head a lot and you sit there and you think about stuff quite a bit, but you start to see the disrespect from a distance because you're like, okay, this in itself, this act of being ghosted is super disrespectful because I personally wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it. Have I been in a situation where I have not talked to someone anymore or I've screened calls or something like that? Yeah, of course. And a lot of it's been to protect myself in certain situations because I've been in quite a few where I've had to be like, hey, this is enough. Like, no, like, please stop. Please leave me alone type of thing. So I guess that's not necessarily ghosting. That's like setting a hard boundary. But I couldn't do this to somebody. I couldn't put myself in a situation where I'd lead someone to a certain extent and then just drop off the planet. I would at least let the person know, hey, from this point forward, either this can't continue or XYZ or these bounds can't be crossed. And these are the reasons why. I'm not just going to tell you these things and just expect you to understand. And when I dip out, that you're just going to be completely okay with it, because it messes people up. And for myself, especially for myself, my abandonment issues flare to like an all-time high. And I start to feel like I'm 5-6 years old again. Because, I mean, that's when I started dealing with these issues from when I was a kid. Because I know what it feels like to be abandoned and to not be cared for and to kind of brushed off to the side. And I have felt that throughout my life. From, again, my childhood up until right now, this day, this time. And it's sad. And I'm trying to work through that again in therapy. I'm trying to understand, process, and put myself in a situation where I can learn. Because I feel like when I'm in positions like this, when I'm going through a lot of pain and a lot of just heartache in general, I need to learn. I need to receive information that I don't know. I need to kind of up my mental game. I need to up my emotional game. So that's when I run back to, which not that I run back to, because I constantly look at these people, but, you know, which I've dropped his name a bunch of times, like Jay Shetty, you know, Lewis Howes, you know, all these people like this, all these amazing therapists and just really enlightened people, because I want to learn something. I want to learn something. And I feel like, you know, or like even Humble the Poet, like that one just came to mind too. Like he's really great and helps give me perspective that I didn't really think about. And sometimes it's hard perspective, but I needed it. For me, it constantly goes back to being patient to myself. And I know for a lot of you need to be patient with yourselves too, because you're extremely hard on yourself. And I'll tell you right now, like 1-to-1, if you're watching this, it's even better because it feels like I'm talking to you. But if you're listening, the same thing applies to you. If you're super hard on yourself, you got to take it easy. You got to breathe for a second. You got to step back, because the same grace that you would give other people, you have to give it to yourself. The same love, the same care, the same everything that you would give to other people, you need to give it to yourself. Because it's a part of the give and take, right? But even personally, you have a give and take as well. Like you have these 2 cups that you constantly need to fill, and you can fill your own cups for sure. You can take and you can fill your own cup. And this is one of those situations that I'm having to, as much as I've put out, I have to put back in. And I'm working on kind of filling my cup again. And I should say not even cup, but cups, because I have multiple that I need to work on slowly building that back up, because I think they're so drained. I don't have any more for myself. And I'm really starting to feel depleted. I'm starting to feel empty on a lot of different levels. And I need to change that. Because even when I try to go back to things that I love and things that make me happy that used to fill my cup, it's no longer working, which is an issue. And some of that stuff, for example, might be with cars. I've been trying to get back to it, but it's been tough. Because it doesn't, not that it doesn't bring me the same joy, but I'm not there. Mentally, emotionally, I'm not there. So it doesn't do anything for me. And it's just been rough. It's been really rough. There's been a lot of hard news, a lot of hard stuff going on in my life that it's really messed up. You know, like last week was tough. I had a lot of really tough moments. Like on, Thursday, I believe. There's a guy that I really look up to in the lowrider community. His name's No. And, like otherwise known as Thrashtastic or Waxer. And he passed. And it was all of a sudden, it was super random. But I was really broken about it, because I look up to him and I have so much love for him. And I don't say had, because I still do. And I have so much respect for that car crew, or that team, I should say. And the team is Genocide, by the way, which I know I've talked to you guys a million times about. But, you know, seeing what it did and what he meant and what he means to people, to the community, like that was really tough to deal with. And also seeing the pain that his girl Danger was going through. She's one of the strongest women that I know right now. And I don't know her personally, but that I know of, because I'm seeing how she's going through it and how she's processing everything. And it's unbelievable, because I couldn't imagine losing the person that I love the most like that. And granted, I guess it's all different for everybody, right? We see things differently. We all perceive things differently. But I think I know where I would be and I know how I'd react because of how hard I love. Like, and I couldn't imagine being in her shoes. I couldn't. And I know at some point, someday, who knows, maybe I will be forcefully, kind of the way she was, but that's a hard pill to swallow. And it broke my fucking heart. I was a mess. And then on top of that, I also found out that one of my uncles has stage 4 cancer that same day, like later that night. And that they gave him maybe 6 months. Maybe. Because he's an older cat. Like, and I get it, he's lived his life and it's been great. But it doesn't change the fact that it's still really sad. And that I've had so many of these situations in the last few months, which I'm sure even as I'm talking about it, you guys are probably like, what the hell, dude? No way. You lose your uncle in July. You bury one of your aunts last month. And then there's another one that's coming. It's inevitable. It's going to happen. We don't know what's going to happen with him. And he's also in a point, which is really sad, that he can't do any treatment because his body can't handle it. Because he's a lot older and it's going to wreak havoc on him. And if anything, that will probably take him out faster than him just riding the wave, which is insane. But it happens. It happens and I hate it. But again, all of these things that have been happening, it's been too much. It's been too much. I feel like it's just not even a weight, but I'm just looking at this thing that's coming at me and it's just getting bigger and bigger and bigger. It's like I'm standing in front of a wave at like Nazaré or something like that, which is, for those of you who don't know, that are familiar with surf, or if you're not familiar with surf, that's one of the tallest, if not the tallest waves in the world are there, which are in Portugal, if I'm not mistaken. But like, they're insane. You got faces that reach like 100 feet high type of thing, which is really insane. And by the face, I mean like the flat side of the wave. So don't worry, we're not going to get all surf nut right now, but just kind of seeing that go down and with the way everything is happening, that's what it kind of feels like. It's starting to tidal and it's like, oh dude, this isn't getting any better. This isn't getting any better. The current's getting stronger in one way and the water's coming from another way. And there's no way. I feel like there's no way to escape it, but I'm trying to just prepare myself as best as I can. But another thing that I thought was kind of important that I want to talk to you guys about is that it's not, like, with everything being said, and I think you'll understand why I'm going to talk about it, that it's not always necessary. How can I word this? It's not, well, I guess it's not really hard to say, but in my head, it was a little more difficult. But it's not always necessary to react to everything that we notice, right? Like, everything that disturbs our peace, like everything, like, we can't just allow everything to affect us to a certain extent. But I feel like the first part of that is the heaviest one, right? Like, it's not necessary to react to everything, because we also have to realize that sometimes it's because that thing is trying to disturb our peace. It's almost like a test throughout life, through the universe, whatever you want to call it. Something's trying to test you and it's trying to play you and it's trying to get you to be mad. Let's say you have a person that's really trying your patience and that's really messing with you. And you're like, you know what? I'm not even going to acknowledge this right now, or ever, period. I'm not doing this. I'm straight up not doing this. And that kind of goes back to what we were talking about earlier, right? Like, choosing the calm over the chaos and the distance over the disrespect. Like, this thing that's happening right now, I'm not about to even react to it. You're not going to catch me. You're not going to catch an ounce of what I have to say. And at the same time, think about it like when you were a kid, right? I don't know if your parents told you this or if you heard this throughout your life, but you don't have anything nice to say, don't say it at all. It's plain and simple. You want to call somebody, you want to go off, you want to see somebody, you go off. Think about it. Think about it really quick. Take a step back and take a deep breath and sit with it for a second, because I guarantee you, if you really did that, if you sat and thought about it, you wouldn't do it. You wouldn't do it. And at the same time, it's like we've also talked about before. Speak to people the way that you want to be spoken to. So if things are really that bad, don't react. Step away, remove yourself. And that's what I'm having to do right now, is as much as I want to make a certain call and ask questions and I'm upset, or I want to see somebody and I want to talk to somebody about something, I can't, because it's not that I don't have anything good to say right now, but I just can't. So I'm choosing the opposite route. I'm choosing the calm. And even though that creates a massive inner chaos, everything that's happening inside right now, inside here and inside here, I can deal with it. And I have the tools to be able to work through these things, whether it's meditation, whether it's talking with my friends, my family, more so my friends that I see as my family. But I have the things to fix the chaos that's going on inside. I can't fix the outer chaos. That I can't do. But what I can do, again, is remove myself from situations, or I can just choose not to react or not to say anything, not to be the person that the situation wants me to be. Because I feel like certain situations beg certain things of you. So it's like, I want to see you be an asshole. I want to see you talk shit. I want to see you be angry. And you have the choice. And there's a lot of power in that choice. And we got to remember that too, that we have the choice to sit there and say, you know what? I'm not going to give that what it wants, like at all. I'm not here for that. I can't entertain that. That's nonsense. So once again, hard pills to have to swallow. Maybe you're not used to that. Maybe you're used to going off on people. Maybe you're used to saying, you know what? Blah, blah, blah. This, that, and the third. But how do you really feel about it after? It might feel good for a second, right? Because you got it off. But maybe some of the things you said are pretty messed up. And maybe, you know what? Maybe you did mean it. Because I think in reality, you did mean it. But you meant it in that situation. I think if you would have really thought about it, you probably wouldn't have said those things. So that's what I'm talking about. Is it's not always necessary to react to everything that we notice, everything that comes up. I don't think it's healthy. And I think, again, they're just tests. Tests in one way for another from something that's bigger than us. Just trying to see, like, can you handle it? Can you deal with this? Because you're constantly dealt those situations, or maybe not everybody, but I feel like some of us are constantly dealt those hands to play because it's setting us up for a bigger game. And even though you might feel like you're losing right now, it's not going to feel like that forever. And I constantly have to remind myself that every day. Even though I feel like I'm losing, I'm not losing right now. I'm not. I'm investing otherwise. Instead of investing in other people, in other things, in other places, I'm investing in myself. And that's the biggest investment that we're going to make as people, is invest in ourselves. And it's scary sometimes because we're not used to it. Maybe we're used to investing in everything else, putting everyone before us, but we can't. Because if we're not built up or we don't have the right tools for ourselves, there's no way we can help somebody else. If we don't have the love that we need to give ourselves, how are we going to give it to somebody else? If we don't have the support, the care, the ease, the grace, once again, how are we going to give that to somebody else if we can't even give it to ourselves? We don't even know what to do. We don't know what it feels like. We don't know what that is. And sometimes giving things to people that we know, like we know what that makes you feel. Ooh, man, that's so powerful. It's so powerful. Telling people that you love them and really meaning it because maybe they don't hear that. Telling people that you care about them, that you appreciate them. You appreciate their presence. Thank you for being who you are, type of things. Like those little compliments, like dishing out those little moments on certain people. Ooh, man. Because you know what it feels like. You know what it feels like for somebody to tell you, I appreciate you. And it's like, ooh, man, that feels good. Let me give that to somebody else. I want somebody else to experience that feeling. So you have to know where to put your time, your energy, and how to kind of redirect your focus. But again, it's not always necessary. It's not always necessary to react to everything. Keep that as a part of your calm. Keep that as a part of your center. Remember that. When things go down, things get hot, things get heavy, whether it's with your partner, your friend, family, anybody, at work, remove yourself. Step away, take a deep breath and say, you know what? This isn't even worth it. It's not worth my peace right now. I was good up until the situation, and I'm not about to give into this. Maybe that's what you want. You're trying to get a rise out of me. I'm not here for it. I'm not here for it. And out of respect for you, let's say the other person that, you might be having this discussion or whatever with, out of respect for you and out of respect for myself and this situation, I'm not about to say something that I'm going to regret. So give me some space, give me some time. We'll come back to this in some way. Or again, maybe it might be the situation that you don't come back to it at all. Because maybe that's your threshold. Maybe you reached your threshold of like disrespect and you're like, you know what? I'm not with that. I'm not with this anymore. Bye. See you later. Or again, somebody ghosts you. It's like I was talking about with Jay, right? no response is a response. And sometimes people showing you their true colors like that, it's like, okay, cool. I see you. I'm going to let you go do your thing. You do your thing. And when you're ready to talk, or when you're ready to, have any sort of discussion, you come talk to me. You let me know what's up. Because I've always been here. It's always been 100 on this side. It's always been 100 on this side. And if you're not ready for that, if you're not ready to talk about that, if you're not ready to face that, that's a you problem. Go work through that in therapy, because in 20 years or something like that, when it's really hitting you because nothing's working out, maybe this is a part of it. Maybe this is a part of it, because all your pills have stacked up and you didn't swallow any of them. And look at you now, needing to swallow all of those pills at the same time. You can't cut them down, can't do anything because now they're too big. And it's part of the game. It's part of the game. So it's just, those are things that have been heavy on my mind the last couple days, the last week, I should say. And again, it's funny how that happens, dude. Like, it's like after I record the podcast, something goes down. It never fails. Things happen, things kind of shift up. And that's what gives me the juice and the gas to kind of go through and talk about stuff for the next week. Themes. I try to step back and look at the themes, like what was really big? What happened? What's the overarching idea of what's gone down? Or what do I think is important to talk about right now? And that's how we landed on all these things for today. And my bit of advice for this week is that people that love you care about how they make you feel. Once again, people that love you care about how they make you feel. If there's people out there that tell you that they love you and that they care, but they make you feel otherwise, they make you feel abandoned, they make you feel lost, they make you feel alone, they make you feel not heard, unseen, like you're whatever, you can just get tossed by the wayside, that's not right. Those people don't love you. They love the idea of you. And the sad thing is, let's say that person ghosts you, right? You're not the one who, you might feel that you lost something. You might feel like you lost somebody, but I promise you on everything, because I'm in it right now. I promise you it's not that. They are the ones that lose every time. They put all their money down on red on the roulette table and they just lost. They don't know it yet because they stepped away from the table. You saw it. You saw that stack, that whole stack of chips that just got thrown down by this person. They walked away because they thought they had it. And that's it. They lost and they don't even know. But when they come back to the table, hear me out. When they come back to the table and they see that their chip stack is gone and they're like, what's up? Where's my winnings? You didn't win. And when the dealer is right there, like, what are you talking about? You didn't win. You didn't win. Well, you came here. You were so confident. You tossed everything down because you thought, oh, this is not. And now you lost. You lost. Straight up, you lost. So people that love you care about how they make you feel. Pay attention to those relationships, those friendships, the people with your family, anybody in your life. People who make you feel good, keep them around. Keep them around as much as you can because that's where the love is at. Those people care when they talk to you a certain way, when they check up on you and all those things. Those people care about how you feel. That's being considerate. I feel like that's a basic human need, right? Or like a basic human, how would you even say it? Like common sense, I would say. But it's not though, especially today. Especially today with like socials and everything. I think it's made people super inconsiderate. And I hate it. Oh my God, I fucking hate that. Like I hate experiencing people being inconsiderate. Whether it's of your time, your energy, your love, your space, anything. Like, what? Because the moment you flip the script and put that on them, ooh, all of a sudden it's a problem. Ooh, okay, so it's cool for you to come over here, disturb my peace, make me feel like boo-boo, put me through all through the ringer. But the moment that I put you on that, now it's a problem. Because you don't like the feeling, huh? You don't like that. Again, there's a lot of people in this world that can dish it, but they can't take it. They can't even take an ounce of what they can dish. And it's like, yo, you've been giving this to me like this for a long time. You've been treating me like this for a long time. And this isn't just relationships. Again, this is friends, family, anybody, work. This is all of that put together. So sit there and think about it. Think about it for the next week. Think about it, for the rest of your life. Always keep this in the back of your mind. People that love you care about how they make you feel. And if you run into a situation where somebody's not or super inconsiderate towards you, maybe reevaluate that situation. Whether it's friendship, family, relationship, anything like that. And maybe it's time to sit down and have a conversation like we've talked about, face to face. Hey, I need to talk to you about something. What's up? Is it a good time right now? Because I feel like X, Y, Z, and break it down. Don't be afraid. Speak your piece. Let that part of you go. It's not fair for you to hold on to your emotions and how you feel, how people make you feel. Like, let that breathe. Put that into the universe. That's good. That sort of exertion is needed. It's positive. It's beautiful. It helps you grow. It helps you grow. I promise you it does. And if the other person isn't willing to accept that, they don't want to hear it, they're not about it, always remember that's a them problem, not a you problem. You're doing what you have to do to protect your peace. And to protect everything that you are, the person that you are, the temple that you have, right? Keep your walls strong. I'm not saying to keep them up high or whatever, but I'm saying keep your walls strong. Know what's up. Keep everything there. You can walk past those walls whenever you want, and you can let people in past those walls whenever you want. But you still have to have something strong, a strong foundation, so that nothing gets shaken up. And these type of things can shake that up pretty heavy. So remember that. But again, as I always do, thank you guys for coming back. Thank you guys for loving me, supporting me, this podcast, this project, you could say, because I feel like it's more than a podcast. I feel like it's a project because of the conversations I had and things that carry on outside of this. That's why I feel like it's a project, and the fact that it's grown. We went from just straight being on the mic to now we got video. And, next week, again, I have my anniversary. It's my 2-year anniversary. That's crazy. I would have never thought I'd be doing it for this long. And granted, it hasn't been 2 years straight, right? Because we've been going hard the last maybe 6 months or so. And yes, I took my break, of course, when everything happened with my uncle, because I shut down. But aside from that, we've been going hard since then. And I know even before that, it was kind of random. But here we are. This is the most important thing, is that here we are 2 years later, coming up on 2 years later. Next week will be exactly that. And it's so beautiful. And it's so great. And I love watching where this is going. And I hope that you guys keep rocking with me. And I hope that, this little team that we're building, I hope it continues to grow. And that we can keep spreading these messages and keep talking and keep these conversations alive and keep these ideas and bits of advice, keep it moving. Keep spreading this love, this light. Because that's what this place is. This place is only for love and light. If you don't have that, I'm sorry, you're not welcome here. You're not welcome here. Me, all my people around me that support this, we don't welcome you here. Unless you coming over here with love, light, openness of heart, respect. That's what we're here for. That I can promise you. So if this is your first time, I appreciate you. Thank you for giving me your time, your energy, your love, everything. Thank you for hearing me out, for watching me. And if you're listening, I appreciate you and love you the same way. Thank y'all for rocking with me, and I appreciate y'all. Always, always, always. I will always say that because I mean it from the bottom of my heart. So thank you guys. I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day, a beautiful weekend. Feel free to reach out to me anytime. You got something on your mind, you got something you want to talk about, you want me to talk about something on the podcast, again, don't hesitate. Hit me up. Hey, Rob, what if you talk about this? For sure. Yeah. I'll figure out a way to wrap it into next week, or I'll figure out a way to make an episode about it. Because this is just as much for you guys as it is for me. This is a us thing. It's a we thing. It's you and I, you know what I'm saying? So I appreciate you guys. Love you tons. And I'll catch you on the next one.